One more week went by while all three of them were relentlessly searching for the place or cave that Asher described. It had been 2 weeks since they entered this place, but there were no clues about it. "We have covered around 26% of the area of this place," Kai mentioned as he looked ahead. He jumped down from the tree branch he was standing on as Dane and Asher walked upon the dried leaves that were present on the ground. The aroma of the tree leaves was filling this whole area, and Dane didn't like it too much. It had a very strong aroma that was making him restless. "Don't worry, it's not poison," Asher replied as he crushed one of the dried leaves on the ground with his hand. Listening to Asher's words, Dane relaxed a bit, but the aroma was still bothering his sense of smell. And it was because of the fact that the leaves of these trees were used to cover the scent of human bodies from any monster. It was a must thing for any assassin or spy because if processed carefully, they could even fool the senses of a high-ranking hunter. Although they could still detect your mana, if you could hide your mana's presence well, this sort of thing was essential to cover other tracks. "Our speed is slow because we are being careful not to damage this place," Kai spoke out. The reason why all of them barely covered 1/3 of the total area was that their speed was considerably slow. This wasn't a normal forest that they could move as they wanted. Asher wanted to remove all traces that could make anyone suspicious. As this place was open to a select few, noticing irregularities was much easier. And leaving any evidence could spoil the entire plan that Asher had in his mind. "But I think we will find that place in that direction," Kai pointed at the northern part of this massive garden. Single quote. "And why?" Dane asked as he furrowed his brows due to the smell. "The terrain around there is very denser, and it's closer to the edge of the garden, so we might find what we are looking for around that place," Kai explained. Asher listened to all this as he turned towards the northern direction. The time they had was very limited, and choosing the northern direction now would make it impossible for them to reach the other parts in time. They could pace around this place, but that would result in them damaging this place and leaving evidence of their presence or activating one of the security runes. Although removing their artifacts removed the risk of getting detected by the complex rune that covered the sky of this place, there were hidden runes as well that were placed to make sure that any kind of irregularity inside could be spotted in time. "Are you sure that place might not be the one?" Dane said with a serious look on his face. Kai got silent as he only answered with his intuition, but he knew that if his guess was wrong, it could lead to the failure of this mission. "Let's go in that direction," Asher spoke out of nowhere, making both of them look at him. Dane and Kai nodded as Asher took Kai's suggestion and started moving towards the northern part. The more they went towards that area, the denser the forest became, and it could be seen that this area wasn't maintained well. Ads by Pub Future. Everything around them looked ordinary, and there were no extraordinary herbs or plants to be spotted in this place. And it was obvious that they were moving away from the center of this garden and were exploring the outer part where the mana veins in the ground weren't that potent. "Did I make a mistake?" Kai thought in his head. He only gave this suggestion because the place that Asher described sounded like a place that was away and well hidden. But knowing that must be of incredible value, Kai was doubting whether his decision was correct or not. If they didn't find the cave Asher mentioned in this direction, this mission would be a failure. One day went by, and then a second went by as well, where the three of them were even moving in the direction using their mana sense. Asher was not stopping at all, and he was keeping check of his surroundings with his mana sense to detect any cave-like structure hidden in the ground. Where would that place be? Asher thought in his head. All he remembered was that only the previous Alistair had found that place despite numerous others going there to collect herbs and explore it. It should be somewhere where people would ignore it, Asher thought. It was also the reason why Asher agreed to go with Kai's suggestion, as the northern part of this garden was looking even more ordinary. As all the important herbs, plants, and flowers were present in the center area, the outer edges were often ignored. So, it was highly possible that the northern part of this garden was the place where he would find the cave that held the secret of this garden. "Follow me," Asher spoke out of nowhere as he jumped on top of a tree, and Dane and Kai followed him. Although it was dark, the moonlight was illuminating the forest, and they could see the path ahead of them. But it looked almost like a wild forest, which was a stark contrast from the scenery they had seen in this place till now. "We will spread out and meet there in 10 hours, Asher said as his crimson-red eyes gazed at the tallest tree that was present there. Look around this place, and use your senses to find a cave-like structure hidden around, Asher explained. Okay boss. Kai and Dane spoke simultaneously. Dane and Kai went in opposite directions while Asher jumped down and started running forward. His mana spread even further, covering more ground as Asher closed his eyes, solely focusing on his senses. Mana was present everywhere, and with the help of his mana control skills, Asher could sense the space around him just like any other high-ranking hunter. Although it wasn't perfect, like using space elements, it was enough to spot the environment around him. It would be better if I could find it without using that plan, Asher thought in his head. Although Kai and Dane thought that they needed to find the cave here in the time left, Asher had one more plan if this place didn't have that cave either. It was something he wanted to avoid if he could because he was unsure what would happen after he did it. And that plan was nothing else but to use a teleportation spell multiple times, going to all the places that were left and using his mana sense to locate that cave. Although it sounded like a good idea, Asher didn't know what the safe limit was for him while using such spells. And even with Rune of Airden and his intelligence stat, Asher was still experiencing headaches and mental fatigue after using that leap spell to teleport him and Dane and Kai. Slowly, the night got brighter as dawn arrived. The sky was turning blue, and the sun was about to shine. It had been 9 hours, but Asher had already reached the tree, and the cave was nowhere to be found. And right now, Asher was sitting under the tree, meditating while recovering his mana. Dane and Kai had yet to return as there was still an hour left, but Asher didn't believe that they had found the cave yet. If they did, they would have come to the spot much earlier. Come out, Asher said as he opened his eyes. River appeared around Asher's arms and moved to the ground, turning his head to look at Asher. Can you sense it? Asher asked. If the place was what Asher remembered it was, River had the best chance of spotting it. It's not around here, River replied, tilting his head. Asher didn't speak as River looked around. River could understand what Asher was thinking, so it could reply honestly to Asher without getting confused. But suddenly, River turned his head as its irises focused in a direction further up north. Something there, River spoke, tilting his head on the other side. River's response made Asher stand up and look in that direction, but it was all a forest. Let's wait for them, Asher said as River disappeared. 40 minutes later, Dane and Kai arrived at the spot and saw Asher mediating and recovering his mana. Asher opened his eyes and looked at Dane and Kai, who both shook their heads, expressing their failures. You can rest here. I will go further for now, Asher spoke. We can still go on, Dane said. No need. Keep guarding him while he recovers, Asher pointed at Kai, who was visibly exhausted. He hadn't recovered from using his bloodline ability. Still, using his mana continuously repeatedly while also using his mana to enhance his senses to find the cave, Kai wasn't in his best shape. Okay, Dane replied. Leaving Dane and Kai to rest, Asher went ahead in the direction River had previously looked at. The search for the cave was on, and Asher hoped to find it soon as it was a crucial piece in his plans going forward. Although it didn't seem like he would succeed at first, in a few hours, Asher was staring at a cave-like place at the opening of one of the tree trunks hidden with an illusion spell rune. This is the place, Asher muttered as his eyes stared at the cave. He didn't even go inside, but just looking at the rune and the preparation to keep it hidden, Asher was sure this was where he was looking for what was present. So this was the source of the golden fountain that the Alistair had, Asher muttered as he stepped inside. Not here, Asher muttered while going past the thin vines growing in this place. His movements were as light as they could get, and even while stepping on the vines and using mere steps, there were no marks on the ground. Recovering his mana and waiting for Dane and Kai allowed Asher to move much more quickly. Somewhere hidden, Asher remembered the conversation in his previous life when he found out about this place. A black sword moved extremely fast as it left trails of blood, but what was more menacing was the man wielding that sword. Behind him were the corpses of multiple high-ranking hunters, and his black clothes were stained with blood stains of the people he killed. He opened a door where a man stood with a strange collar on his neck. Asher von Greville, he muttered as he looked behind. I was expecting you to visit this place, he said as he sat on his chair. Sam Alistair, Asher spoke as he entered the room. What you want is written in this diary, Sam said as he touched a diary on the table before him. But I am surprised, Sam said as he sat in his seat. I didn't think you would come yourself, Sam said with a faint smile on his face. His behavior was strange because he was sitting in front of the man who had become a threat to the whole High Council in a few years since his disappearance. Normally, someone would either be nervous or be ready to fight for their life, but Sam was relaxed. Or rather, he didn't care what was going to happen. Asher's indifferent eyes looked at the diary, but despite his expression, his killing intent was still present. You look nothing like the person I had seen at the World Academy, Sam said as he looked at Asher. You have become a monster, Sam said. Suddenly, another person behind Asher appeared, and his appearance made Sam's expression change. How? Those red eyes. Sam's relaxed face changed. I have made sure to kill every messenger around this place, Lucas spoke as he looked at Asher. Nobody will know what happened here till tomorrow morning, Lucas said as he looked at Sam, whose eyes had widened. So you were the one that sent us that message? Lucas asked. Who are you? Sam asked. Those eyes. Sam was about to ask when Asher stepped forward. But he soon appeared behind Sam and took the diary in his hand. Ads by Pub Future. Don't move if you don't want to die, Asher said in a cold tone as he opened the diary. Sam calmed himself down as he leaned back and started laughing. Lucas stared at Sam's strange actions while Asher flipped through the pages. That diary contains everything you need to destroy the Alistair family and the identity of all those that are involved with that damn family, Sam said. Why are you giving it to us? Aren't you the second son of the Alistair head? Lucas asked. Son, family. Hehehehehe, if I could, I would have killed that man with my own hands, Sam replied as his eyes turned lifeless. From the moment Lucas had entered this place, Sam looked like a weird person to him. Lucas had seen the reaction that others had when they were around Asher's killing intent, but Sam depicted none of those. He has already given up on living, Lucas thought. These eyes that Sam showed a resemblance to another one that Lucas could see beside Sam, but he didn't say that out loud. Anyway, I completed my side of the deal, Sam said, shifting his eyes toward Asher. Let's leave, Asher said, looking at Lucas. Lucas was confused, but he nodded his head. He activated the teleporting artifact, leaving Sam alone in this room. I have done it, Mother, Sam muttered as he closed his eyes and relaxed his body. I wonder how you felt for those years. I am sorry, Sam muttered as the collar started glowing. A smile crept onto his face. I guess they can't let me go away this easily. Controlling my whole life wasn't enough for you, I guess, Sam muttered as he opened the drawer where many empty vials were present. I guess this is the last one, Sam spoke as he took the only vial that had a liquid-like substance available in it. Gulp. Still doesn't taste good, Sam muttered, throwing the vial on the floor. Far from this place, Lucas and Asher appeared in an abandoned region where the diary was stored in his storage ring. Was it okay to leave him alive? Lucas asked. They might learn about our movements from him, Lucas said. They would not. The dead don't speak, Asher said as he touched the mountain rock and activated the runic formation. He was already half dead when he spoke with us, Asher replied. Lucas stopped momentarily, and everything about Sam's behavior made sense to him. Asher flipped the pages one by one as he arrived at the last entry of the diary. It was about the miracle golden pond, which was the biggest reason for the growth in power of the Alistair head, and it also mentioned what that golden pond was. Contemporary romance. Asher entered the hidden base, leaving Lucas, who looked at the sky and raised his hand, covering the entire mountain with his magic. Call Power T Limited. Outsourced Customer Support Solutions, B2B Telemarketing. Asher remembered the description he saw in the diary, but it was inaccurate. In his previous life, Asher never visited this place because there was no need, as Sam had already mentioned that going there was useless. Because the golden pond was already empty when Sam handed over the diary to Asher. But right now, it was different, and Asher knew that golden pond would become empty in the next 5 years. And it was around then that the Alistair had reached SS plus rank, reaching the power of a pseudo-SSS rank hunter. Soon enough, after going around, Asher stopped and looked at a certain tree with an opening in the middle. But what made him stop wasn't the tree itself, but the massive space beneath the ground he was standing. So there it is, Asher said as he looked at the opening. It looked like a normal tree, but Asher touched the opening, revealing a runic formation. Changing the runes and the flow of the mana around the formation, Asher deactivated it. Stepping inside, a large cave-like space was revealed when Asher used a fireball to illuminate his surroundings. But instead of stepping further, Asher stopped and activated another runic formation that was hidden on the wall that lit up the whole cave. It also reveals the golden pond in the middle. Suddenly, Rifa came out as he looked at the golden pond, and Asher could understand Rifa's reaction as this pond was the blood of an SSS rank monster who had died long ago. Before even Halcyon was formed, this place was where it died, and his mana core became the mana vein beneath the ground, covering what once was the domain of this powerful monster. Also, this golden pond was nothing but the pool of blood, the blood that was present around his mana core, which was not removed from his body, allowing that blood to accumulate above the center of the mana vein formation in the ground. Domain of a dead calamity, something that wasn't hunted but died of age, Asher muttered as he stepped forward. It was the description that Sam had mentioned, something he had heard from his older brother Jack before he was imprisoned in that place. Rifa looked at Asher, but Asher shook his head. Not this one, Asher replied as Rifa soon disappeared. Despite his instincts to devour the strength of a powerful being, Rifa quietly went back as he could understand Asher's intentions due to the connection between them. So this is the blood that created the golden fountain. Asher crouched and touched the pond. The golden fountain was a fountain that was present in the main mansion of the Alistair family. It looked like normal golden-colored water, but it was a highly diluted form of this very blood that was being converted into an elixir. This was a secret that nobody except the late and the current head of the Alistair knew. That golden fountain was made by an artifact that could dilute this blood over time, making it possible to drink the elixir made from it. Although such a thing wasn't possible as the wild mana in the blood wasn't suitable for it, the last head of the Alistair family had somehow made it possible. But even if one couldn't make an elixir out of this, the value of this pond that had become so enriched with mana present in the mana core that had long become a mana vein was immeasurable. This was something that would cause even SSS rank hunters to fight. Although not comparable to an SSS rank mana stone, this pond was still valuable. Especially for people below the SSS rank, just entering this pond would strengthen their mana veins inside the human body. Sam mentioned this in the diary, as well as that the one who benefited from that effect was Jack Alistair before the Alistair had used this entire pond. But instead of going inside, Asher stepped closer and took a sample of the blood inside a vial. As someone who knew something that even the dying Sam Alistair didn't know, Asher didn't bother going inside this pond. Alistair family mansion. Gulp. Drinking from a glass of wine that contained a golden-colored liquid, the Alistair head walked to the window. The moonlight was shining on the golden fountain, creating beautiful scenery, but the entire area around the fountain was empty. Not a single soul except the Alistair head was permitted in this area at the time of night. Cough, cough, the. Alistair head started coughing as he grabbed his right chest, and the pain around his mana heart started rising. His breathing got rough, but after a few seconds, he took a deep breath and calmed his body as the mana around him finally settled down. A few years more, and my body will finally be able to handle that blood, he spoke as a smile crept on his face. Walking back to his desk, he looked at the documents that had details about various children and their ability assessment. Click. Clicking his finger, a ball of fire appeared, and the paper started burning as he sat down and tapped on the edge of his table, making a hologram pop up that had confidential data about the company that Leonard and Reese were starting. This will be the start. I can't wait till they finish that product, Alistair said while smiling. Boss, are we really leaving that thing behind? Dane asked. Dane, Kai shouted. I don't mean to question your orders. It's just the thing. Dane started scratching his head. Dane and Kai could feel that the golden blood was a very valuable treasure due to the amount of dense mana around that place. Even if they both soaked their bodies in that pool of blood, it would have made them stronger, but despite finding it, they were leaving it behind. We are not touching that, Asher said as he emptied a strange vial into the pond. But that doesn't mean we can't benefit from it, Asher replied, making Dane and Kai raise their eyebrows. Half an hour ago, when Asher found this cave and the pool of blood after deciding not to touch it, Asher turned to leave when Riffer emerged and spoke to him. There, Mana, Riffer said as he appeared at the crack that was around the edge of the cave. Asher moved closer, and he spread his mana sense that was being overwhelmed by the dense mana of the golden pool, but going closer to the small crack made him sense a special formation that was done due to the intense mana that had been around this place. It caused the formation of a natural mana-heavy zone that was beneficial for mana meditation for anyone below S rank, and all three of them could use it. There is a heavy mana zone behind that crack where all of us will train for 5 days, Asher said, making Dane and Kai look at the crack. I couldn't sense that at all. Kai muttered, surprise, as he didn't sense anything with his senses. Ads by Pub Future. It was a place that had gone unchecked by even those who knew about this cave, so it was obvious why they couldn't spot it. But if we break that crack, wouldn't it make it obvious someone was present here? Dane asked. We will enter it directly, Asher said as he appeared behind Dane and Kai and touched their backs. He instantly used the teleportation spell to appear inside the space that was hidden behind the wall. And instantly, all of them felt the pressure of mana that made their entire body feel heavy, including their mana heart. But that pressure was the heaviest on Asher, who was AC rank hunter, and it was obvious by seeing Asher, who was barely standing up. Asher's indifferent eyes looked ahead as he sat with legs crossed on the spot and started using his aura to repel the mana pressure. I would have loved to spend more than 5 days, but I guess this is also fine. Dane sat down as well. Kai did the same as all three of them started their own individual training. Dane and Kai maintained their distance from Asher so as not to bother his training while doing theirs. At the World Academy. So, do you know why we can't use mana like monsters? Serena asked the 4 kids before her, contemporary romance. Yes, Jennifer, Serena said, looking at Jennifer, who was raising her hands. Because the wild mana that monsters use is not suitable for us, she answered. That's right, but it's not the correct answer, Serena said with a smile. Not just the monster's mana, but even our own mana is not suitable for another hunter, Serena replied. Mana that enters your body becomes a unique energy that resonates with your mana heart, Serena said as a diagram of mana heart was displayed behind her. It consisted of a description of various white rings and mana waves that covered the human heart. That resonation will cause the mana to repel from anything that it doesn't resonate with, Serena said. Although the exact reason is not discovered, some people compare it with the way the mana frequency of an artifact works, but we ourselves don't emit those mana frequencies, making that theory invalid, Serena explained. But there is an exception to that rule, Serena said. I am sure both of you have seen it yourself, Serena looked at Lucas and Livia. Augmenters, they are the only hunters that can perfectly resonate their mana with others naturally, Serena explained. But they are extremely rare, even more than advanced element users, Serena explained. And currently, there is only one augmenter in the World Academy, and she is Amelia Greville, Serena said, making Livia smile brightly. Big sister is very strong. Livia said out loud. Augmenters have the special ability to project their mana and augment others while using unique spells, Serena added. But they can only project mana that their body is naturally capable of, Serena said. And most of the time, augmenters have less mana than the mage of their ranks. Remember this, most of the basic theory of mana is about various roles of hunters and how they are different from each other, Serena said. A good understanding of such things will help you in the future and build a strong foundation as well, Serena said as she took out 4 books, each with a red cover. This contains the topic that will be covered the next month. Make sure you learn it well, as you will be tested next month. It's not an official exam, so take your time learning things, don't worry about your performance, Serena said. The books floated by Serena's power and landed in front of them. Now open the 3rd page. You can look at the description of the mana heart and mana resonation that will be our topic for today, Serena said. Lucas and Livia started reading the chapter while Jacob did the same, except Jennifer, who just overlooked the text as she had already studied about it. Serena didn't say anything to Jennifer as she also knew that Jennifer Grandis was ahead of others in the class, but that didn't make Serena rush others or slow down Jennifer. Although Jennifer's existence in the class did make Serena talk about advanced topics that were a bit confusing, despite that, he made sure that those topics were related to the lesson they were studying. The class went on, and it ended an hour later as Livia stretched her hands and looked at Lucas, who was standing to leave. "I am going to meet Damien," Lucas told Livia. "Okay. Say that I said hi," Livia said cheerfully. Lucas went ahead and left the classroom while Livia also left the room. As she was leaving, Livia thought of interacting with the Grandis twins, but she didn't do it because Lucas told her to be careful around them. Livia didn't wanted to go against Lucas's wishes and do anything that would cause trouble for the Greville family, so she decided to listen to Lucas. Although she wanted to be on friendly terms with the Grandis twins, Jennifer's attitude against Lucas hadn't changed despite attending multiple classes together. Jennifer looked at Lucas as a rival, and Jacob didn't leave Jennifer's side. On the other hand, unlike Livia, Lucas wasn't interested in making friends with the Grandis twins. "I should ask Big Sister about this," Livia thought while walking towards her dorm building in the hallway. Because Amelia was busy with her training, Livia couldn't meet her as much, and Damien would occasionally meet them. Still, it was mostly Lucas going to train with Damien, who would spar with him. Sometimes, Livia would do the same, but today, she was going to spend her day studying. "Is the preparation ready?" Xander asked. "Yes, we have arranged the oath tokens and trial tokens. We can open the trials ground in 2 weeks, the staff member replied. 1 week from now, send notice to all those eligible to enter the trials ground and tell them to stop their training, Xander said as the staff member nodded. Submit that report to the principal and inform the professors about this, Xander said. You can go now, Xander said as the staff member left the room. The trials ground was about to begin soon, and many people awaiting their chance were busy practicing. So it was important to inform them a week before so they could stop their training before missing their chances to enter the trials ground for an entire year. Drip. Another drop of sweat dropped from Ash's face as the mana zone kept putting pressure on him. A mana zone was a place that was naturally formed, unlike a mana meditation room, and it was an accumulation of a high mana zone made from wild mana. It was a perfect place for practicing your mana meditation. Not only did it make your mana heart stronger, but even the tension between the multiple rings eased down, allowing one person to break through to the next rank much more easily when they tried to increase the rank of their mana core. For Dane and Kai, this place was a treasure they needed the most as they were at A+ rank, and they needed exactly this to ease the process of reaching S rank in the future. But for Asher, sitting here was a grueling process that was making his body sweat, and maintaining the mana flow around his body was incredibly difficult. Because of that, Asher was using his aura to strengthen himself, but even then, this process was difficult. Although it looked like Asher was only practicing his mana meditation, in reality, he was doing something different. One of the mana doping methods that made Asher stronger replicated the effect of a natural mana zone that Asher created for his mana heart by using his bloodline ability. It was a process that was akin to brewing a poison inside your body very slowly that would gradually affect your whole body. But it was still one of the early techniques of the entire mana doping method that Asher created, as it could be done without the use of external materials. Asher didn't possess his original bloodline ability, so he couldn't replicate that process, but having a natural mana zone that was very powerful, much more than what a C rank hunter could handle, he could mimic that process. He did not go as far as repeating the entire process, which would harm his body for the cost of becoming more powerful, but he was partially replicating that process. Crack and bend, Asher said in his head. He repeated those words, slowly making cracks in the mana rings around his mana heart, and they were small cracks that would heal in a few seconds. But he would try to bend them bit by bit, relaxing his mana heart and allowing it to absorb more mana and increase its density without breaking the barrier of C+ rank. What Asher wanted was to increase his limit of mana at C rank without creating another ring and becoming a B rank hunter. Although the change wouldn't be incredibly huge like what he achieved in his previous life, which allowed him to fight people more powerful than him as an equal. The mana around Asher was going in circles and revolving throughout his body, but inside his body, that mana was going towards the mana core. That core was absorbing the mana while he would repeat the cycle of cracking and bending the mana rings. This was an insane process, as shattering your mana rings could make you a cripple for life and could even lead to death. But because Asher had done this before, and he had accomplished that without dying, he could do it again right now. Although there was something that was happening to him that Asher was aware of. The more he was getting stronger, those senses, that madness, the rage, all of them were gradually coming back. He was becoming closer to the person he was in his previous life, but because he had endured that madness and accepted it, Asher didn't stop increasing his strength. Unlike his previous life, this time, Asher had accepted that it was his true nature, and trying to run away from it would only repeat what happened in his previous life. In the World Academy, Leonard was sitting with a bunch of playing cards in his hand, and in this room, there were two more people. One of them was Jack Allister, who was looking at the cards in his hand, but the look on his face was serious. You know, right, what I am giving you is a chance, and there is no room for mistakes, Leonard said as he looked at the third person who was present in the room. Ads by Pub Future. Alan Astaria, I am sure you know with your current standing, you aren't suitable to become part of my circle, Leonard said, making Alan clench his fist. He wasn't angry at Leonard but frustrated with the way he was being treated in the World Academy. I will do whatever you ask, but I want to enter the trials ground, Alan said. Leonard looked into Alan's eyes, and he smiled. You want to defeat your half-sister, right? Leonard asked. That bitch is not my sister. Alan shouted with anger. That worthless garbage is a stain on the Astaria name. Alan said. In a single year, I will become stronger than that crippled bitch, Alan added. But that wouldn't change the fact that the heir of the Astaria household lost, Leonard said. That's why I am giving you an offer, something that will take down both of your worries, Leonard said. Both? Alan asked with a confused look on his face. Yeah, I don't care about that girl, but you hate Asher Greville because of the way he treated you, right? Leonard asked. Contemporary romance. Just by the mention of Asher's name, Alan got shaken, and Leonard could see the change in his behavior. He could see that Alan was subconsciously afraid of Asher, as he had become a source of his trauma. I will allow you to enter with Jack, and he will help you inside, Leonard said as Alan looked at Jack. Jack was silent the whole time because Leonard had explained the plan to him, but by the look on his face, it was obvious that even Jack was hesitant about Leonard's plan. Leonard took out a bracelet and put it on the table. What is this? Alan asked. It is something that will help you, an S-rank artifact, Leonard said. S-rank? Wait, what? Alan almost stood up, but Leonard's mana took over the room. Listen now, Alan Astaria. Whatever you see here, hear here, and do here, nothing can go outside, Leonard said as the smile on his face vanished. Alan could feel Leonard's dangerous aura, which was something similar to what he felt from Asher. He was shaken by the change of behavior in Leonard, which was something he hadn't expected because Leonard always behaved nicely with him. But right now, Alan could feel that the Leonard before him was dangerous. It's part of my power, something that nobody except the two of you. No. Do you understand what this means? Leonard said. Be careful because out of all people, you don't want to become my enemy, right? Leonard asked as he smiled. Why yes, I wouldn't tell anyone, Alan assured Leonard instantly. Good. I expected that much from someone who carries the Astaria name, Leonard said with a smile, but his mana was still covering the whole room. I will give you a chance to get your revenge on Asher Greville and get away with it, Leonard said. And you will get what you wanted to do originally as well, Leonard added. Really? Alan asked. Jack was silent, but looking at those S-rank artifacts, even he was confident that this plan couldn't fail. Facebook ads, Platinum Plan. Generate leads and collaborate with your clients all from one place. Because, just like Leonard said, nobody knew that Leonard was capable of something like this. If I do this, I will take the same spot as Reese Williams, Jack thought to himself. After all the failures this past year, this wasn't an offer he could miss. Father told me that he would give me that secret elixir as well, Jack thought in his head. All three people in this room had their own thoughts and motives, but all of them were waiting for one thing, the trials ground. In a few more days, Amelia and Damien were walking in the outer sector, and they were going to one of the places Amelia liked to visit. He hasn't come out, Amelia asked. Damien shook his head in denial. What is he doing? The trial's ground has been announced, Amelia said. I mean, they're still around a week, Damien said. What about you? Are you participating? Damien asked. No, my choice hasn't changed. I don't think I am ready, Amelia replied. I have learned something new from those books, but I haven't mastered it yet, Amelia added. Really? Damien was surprised. Amelia was someone who could learn something very quickly and implement it, though not comparable to someone like Asher. Damien always thought highly of Amelia in this regard. The concepts are very complex. I don't think I can use them unless I hit C rank, Amelia replied. Are those books that difficult that even Ash is still reading them? Damien asked. Probably. He must have chosen something complex as well, Amelia replied. I wouldn't be surprised if he only understood half of them by now because I am far from understanding half, Amelia said. I guess it is better. There are many rumors this time, Damien said. I don't think any of the third-year students would be able to hinder him, Amelia said. And those students outside, they will not stand against someone from an elite family, Amelia added. She had heard the rumors that some students weren't happy with certain participants from the second-year student group. Haha, that's true. I don't think anyone will be stupid enough to go against the heir of the Greville family, Damien said. Although the rumors weren't targeting Asher, in fact, they were against someone else. Punch. There are so many useless mouths in this damn academy, Vanessa said. Ease down, Sam said as he looked at Vanessa, who was venting her anger on the punching machine. It's not like they can stop her from entering, Sam said. Both of them had met for a spa, and Vanessa had requested Sam to practice with her, as she knew Sam was quite good despite his rank. They are just jealous that she is above them, Vanessa said. Punch. Punch. There were multiple rumors questioning if someone as unpredictable as Alyssa should be allowed inside the trial's ground, considering her background. But the recipient of those rumors was currently in the second-year ranker's dorm, sitting in her room, drawing a black rose with a red stem. Crack. The ground around Dane started cracking as he kept taking on the pressure around him. Kai had stopped already as he had gained enough, but Dane was still going on. He is being stubborn, Kai thought as he leaned cross-handed on the wall. He looked at Asher, who was far from them, and he was ready to cover Asher with his mana if the pressure inside this place became too much for him. Even though Kai could have gained a little more, he knew what his job was, and he decided to look over Dane and Asher. Dane was fully engrossed in making the most of this place, and Kai knew how much Dane wanted to increase his strength quickly. Till now, both of them had relied on Kai's bloodline ability to help them complete missions that were far too difficult for them. And Dane always wanted to cross over the first boundary that every hunter dreamed of. S rank was something that every hunter dreamed of achieving in their lifetime. It was called the first boundary because it was a rank where their whole body, including their mind, thoughts, senses, the way of perceiving things, and most importantly, the way they could connect with mana would change. The first boundary was where they would open their eyes to a new world, which was what Dane and Kai aimed for. It was not simply a dream for them, it was a necessity, as they knew that only their strength would help them in the future. But what made crossing over from a rank to S rank was simply the shackles that held the mana heart. The mana rings that had formed multiple times till their journey to a rank had now become the shackles that bound their mana heart, stopping it from becoming denser and stronger. The process of stepping into the realm of S rank was different. Instead of making more mana rings, you needed to merge all the mana rings into one single strip that would wrap itself around the mana heart. This change allowed a hunter to massively increase their mana pool as the restriction of the mana rings that held the mana heart and the density of mana inside it were gone. Normally, to do this process, one needs to not only make their mana heart strong enough to handle that mana without the mana rings but enough strength to merge all the mana rings. That's why reaching S rank at a younger age was even more impressive, as they have passed the hurdle of tempering their mana heart and merging the rings. That was why Dane was going so far to make sure he got the most out of this place, but there were cracks on the ground that were emerging due to his mana that was spreading outside his body. Kai was ready to interrupt Dane if we went too far, as leaving any evidence here was clearly not their motive at all. Knowing the value of this place just by sensing the mana, Kai was sure that the people involved in this place would be able to sense any sort of irregularities here. It should be time we should leave soon, Kai thought, as he knew that they needed to leave this place fast. He remembered that Asher had told them he would need to be present inside World Academy around this time. Even Dane and Kai knew about the trials ground, as it was the thing that made World Academy an incredibly precious place. A day went by as Kai kept his eyes on Dane and Asher, but he was getting worried about the time they were spending here. But to relieve him of his worries, Dane opened his eyes as he let out all the mana around him, and he looked at Kai with a tired look in his eyes. "You were quite reckless with it," Kai commented. Ads by Pub Future. Haha. It was nothing, Dane said as he lay down on his back and regulated his breathing. Seeing the look on Dane's face, Kai smiled as he knew that he had achieved what he wanted, and now only Asher was left. The aura around Asher was getting dimmer, and his mana was gradually increasing. It made Kai think that Asher was using this opportunity to reach B rank. Seeing that, Kai was shaken, but he kept those thoughts to himself as he looked at Dane and remembered what Dane had said about Asher when they first met him. I guess anyone would get scared seeing this monstrous talent, Kai thought. He was watching the record of the fastest rank up being broken before his own eyes. Even the famous Ever Greville reached B rank in his second year of World Academy, but Asher was even faster. But Kai didn't know that Asher wasn't trying to hit B rank but increasing mana limits at C rank. Dane kept resting, waiting for Asher to complete his training, and after 13 hours, Asher finally opened his eyes. How much time is left? Asher asked as he took a deep breath. One day, and there is a chance that someone has already entered this place, Kai replied. Time to leave, Asher said as he stood up. His entire body underneath the thin armor was red, and his face was pale. Straining his mana heart also affected the blood flow around his body, contemporary romance. Kai waved his hand, removing the mana pressure around Asher as both went near him. Maybe you should rest for a few hours, Kai suggested. No need, Asher said as he took out a potion and drank it. I will use the spell twice, after that, use the necklace to go back to Soren as per the plan, Asher said, and Kai and Dane nodded. Asher. As he touched Dane and Kai's back, his face became paler. Suddenly, Dane and Kai felt a shift of space around their body, causing that same dizzy feeling. They saw the sky, but suddenly, the feeling of shifting of space happened again as they were outside in mountainous forest. Thud. Kai caught Asher, who was falling as he looked behind them, and they could see the massive tower, which meant they had successfully escaped. Dane took out the necklace as he imagined the location of the mansion where Tom was waiting for them. Kai took care of Asher, who was unconscious, but in his head, he couldn't believe that Asher used that kind of spell twice after coming out of a mana zone. Dane activated the communication device and alerted Tom about their escape. I guess our trip is over, Dane said as he activated the artifact. At Soren, Tom was keeping tabs on the activities in the World Association headquarters, but he didn't have any concrete information because of the increased security. They are late, Tom said as his legs kept shaking. The communication was cut off for a long time, and Tom had no way of knowing what was happening inside that place. All he could do was wait patiently, but there was one more thing to worry about, and it was the summons that was being sent on Asher's ID bracelet. Boss needs to go back there soon, Tom said, looking at the ground, not knowing what to do. If Asher didn't respond to these summons, there was a chance that the academy might decide to check his dorm floor for security reasons. Although it was a breach of privacy, under such conditions, the academy was fully capable of taking these steps. Beep. Tom immediately looked at the screen as he saw the signal from Dane. They are back, Tom said as he felt his worries flowing out of him. The mental pressure was released as Tom took a deep breath and immediately activated the sequence in his system. At the same time, in the basement of this mansion, 3 people appeared as Kai held Asher while Dane looked around him. Get the potions and healing artifacts, Kai said as Dane immediately went out. Kai took Asher to one of the medical facilities that was present inside this mansion. Although it was nothing too grand, it allowed for emergency operations. After a few minutes, Dane returned with the potions and artifacts and placed them on the table as Tom came inside the room and saw Asher. What happened? Tom worriedly asked. Nothing, Boss is just out of mana, Dane replied. Kai took some of the healing artifacts and activated them while putting the bracelets on Asher's hands. How long would it take for Boss to wake up? Tom asked. I don't know, Kai replied. That needs to go back to the World Academy as soon as possible, Tom said out loud. There have been 3 summon notifications for him from the faculty council, Tom added. If Boss doesn't return till tomorrow, they might find out that he is not inside the training room, Tom said. Let's wait and see, Dane replied. What do you mean that there is no response from Asher Greville? Professor Arman asked the staff member. Sorry, Professor, but we have sent a total of 5 summons already, the staff member replied. 5. Did you contact his sister or his friends? Arman asked. All of them gave the same reply. It seems that Asher Greville is still doing his training. Usually, we would just cancel the student's entry, but we can't do that for him, the staff member said with a troubled look on his face. Denying someone from the elite family their right to enter the trials ground was the same as making an enemy out of them. All they could do was wait and make sure that till the end, it was Asher's choice not to enter trials ground with everyone. It's weird. He himself enrolled his name in the trials ground list using the right that was given by the principal, Arman said out loud. We might have to enter the ranker's dorm to check if everything is fine, Arman said. His ID bracelet hasn't given any alarm, so he should still be okay, but it's better to confirm things, Arman thought in his head. The ID bracelet on each student's hand was an extremely useful device that could alert the faculty if the student's life was in danger. There was always a case where a student tried to force his way through the training and try to gain more strength. It would often lead to extreme injuries, which was why these ID bracelets were designed in a way that they would alert them. But Arman and the staff member didn't know that Asher's ID bracelet was completely hijacked by Tom, and he had full control over all the features. Contemporary romance. Alert the guards to check the condition there. I will get the vice principal's approval in the meantime, Arman said as the staff member nodded his head. Arman was already busy preparing everything for trials ground that he needed to get the situation resolved. If Asher didn't want to enter right now, it was fine, but they needed to check what the reason for his delayed response was. For any kind of mishap that could happen to the heir of the Greville family, the entire World Academy would have to take the blame. And that was something they couldn't afford to do in any case. It was also the reason why Asher was able to strike that deal with Farnes during the ranking examination when the first year started. Greville was best known for things that didn't sound good for World Academy, and even with Farnes's status, ignoring the sword god Nathaniel Greville wasn't possible. If someone was crazy enough to face Farnes Calmont head-on, it was definitely Nathan, and the people who knew about it had already seen the wrath of the sword god. It happened when Ivor died, and it was only because it was Ivor's own decision to enter the dungeon that helped calm Nathan Greville. Knowing the personality of the strongest Greville, it was better to avoid any sort of problems that would place the blame on the World Academy. Arman used his magic to disappear and appeared in front of the faculty council as the black smoke gathered around his legs. A few minutes later, 2 S-rank hunters were outside the ranker's dorm and entered the ranker's dorm, confusing Elena and Eva, who were just leaving the ranker's dorm due to some work. It was rare to see the guard hunters of the World Academy like this, as they were placed around the outer sector. But it was even more surprising that they were entering the ranker's dorm, which was a special place that only the student rankers could visit freely. Ads by Pub Future. And if they were entering it like this, it only meant that they had gotten orders to enter the ranker's dorm. What are they doing here? Elena asked Eva. Did something happen? Eva questioned as they both observed the guard hunters going towards the lift and using a special card to activate the lift. Elena and Eva were waiting to see the destination of the lift, and soon enough, they could see it passing each floor, and it went towards the highest floor. The floor belonged to the rank 1 student of the current second-year students. Less than access from the floor owner has been requested greater than. The guard hunters listened to the voice of the security system of the ranker's dorm as the lift opened, revealing a locked place. I will sense for any sort of disturbance in mana, one of them said as he spread his mana around the floor. It was hard to focus on what was inside, but they could sense any sort of imbalance in mana. There is no reply, the other one stepped forward. We have to wait for permission to enter this place, the first one said. Both of them were waiting for the order from Professor Arman, who was getting permission from Xander. It would take some control to destroy this door without breaking anything inside, the second guard hunter said as he touched the door. Suddenly, they heard the robotic voice, which alerted them. Less than the permission to enter has been denied greater than. What? Does that mean he is fine? The first guard hunter spoke. It should mean that he is inside, but why isn't he answering the summons? The second one spoke. Both of them got confused as the situation got weirder, and this also made them a bit suspicious of what was happening inside. Even though they had confirmed that someone from inside had denied the permission, not seeing Asher with their own eyes made them unsure of what to do. But soon, their confusion as the door opened and a pair of crimson-red eyes became visible. Is there any problem? Asher asked. The summons was ignored, so we were sent to check if everything was fine and confirm your participation, the first guard hunter immediately replied. It's fine, I am participating, Asher said as he tapped the ID bracelet on his right hand. This should be enough to confirm my participation, Asher said as both of them nodded. Then we will leave, he said as both of them turned to leave. Asher saw them leave through the lift as he closed the door and took the support of the wall. He almost lost his balance but made his way to the living room. As he sat down on the couch and looked up at the system notification. The system was finally back, and it was also the reason why Asher was able to return to World Academy despite being unconscious. Fieldflow Enterprises, Independent Marketing Agency. First awakening of the system has been completed. Level 41 has been reached. Change in host strength detected. Synchronization process. 31%. Asher looked at the notifications that had been present before him for a long time. Quest feature unlocked. Fate detection has been unlocked. Some of the features that were locked were also back, but the system was still not responding to Asher. And the reason was the synchronization process that was ongoing right now. 34 hours, Asher looked at his ID bracelet. That was the time he needed to report for the trail's ground, and that was how long he had to regain his strength. Asher stood up and started slowly walking towards the bed as he laid down and closed his eyes after tapping the timer on his ID bracelet. At the mansion in Soren. Will boss be fine? Dane asked. I mean, he woke up pretty soon, Dane said. All of them were shocked when they saw Asher open his eyes within 3 hours, and he immediately asked for the necklace. I am sure boss knows what he is doing, Tom replied as he turned around his chair. So, I guess both of you can rest now, Tom said. I am not feeling that tired. I would go train, Kai said. I will go rest, Dane replied as he stretched his hands. Both of them let go of their worries quickly as they stopped thinking about something they couldn't do anything about. Well, you don't have any immediate missions, so I guess you can do whatever you want, Tom replied as he turned his chair. Kai turned to leave as Dane was going as well. But before going, Dane caught a glimpse of what Tom was doing. Are you buying land? Dane asked. Yeah, boss told me to get the area around here the moment I get the chance, Tom replied. It was an empty forest area that was around the cities that were neighboring Soren. Is there something interesting that caught boss's eye? Dane asked. Not really. I checked the records, and this area doesn't seem like a good investment, but I am just following the orders I was given, Tom replied. I will go. You can work peacefully, Dane said as he patted Tom's shoulders and left the room. Tom turned and looked back at the door as he touched his shoulder. This bastard doesn't know how to hold back his strength, Tom said with an annoyed look on his face. He held his shoulder as the painful sensation was still lingering, but he turned around to click and send the proposal to buy that land under Asher's name and partially under the Gravel name. Cracks started forming in a dark place as golden light emerged, and a golden hand appeared causing the place to illuminate. Suddenly the shining golden light figure that was shaped like a human materialized and looked around. The time has come yet again, it spoke. I guess I will fulfill my role. Clap. A single clap resonated in that space, changing everything around it and shifting the space. The purple chains appeared as they got loose and many purple runes appeared as the strange golden figure raised his hands as the darkness started surrounding it. Before the darkness completely surrounded, a crack in the shape of a smile appeared on the figure's face. It's quite cold, are you sure you guys are fine? Amelia asked. Yup. Livia replied, nodding her head as puffs of her breath, visible in the cold air like fleeting clouds. Both Livia and Lucas were sitting in an open cafe as most of the cafeterias, shops, and buildings in the outer sector were closed. Only a few open cafes were operating, and even they were going to close in an hour from now. Because of this reason, instead of being inside, the four of them were sitting outside in the cold weather so early in the morning. Seeing this, Amelia smiled, and used a Tier 2 fire spell around them to create a warmer sensation. Livia was surprised, and Lucas was intrigued by the spell as he was curious how Amelia did something like this. It's a basic spell, you will learn it as well, Amelia told Lucas. Yeah, it's something that they taught all mages as it's a must-to-have temperature controlling spell inside a dungeon, Damien replied. They were standing in the outer sector at 4 a.m. in the morning, and it was still winter, and in the flying island, the temperature was much colder as well. But he barely made it to the trials ground, Damien said as he sipped on the hot chocolate. Amelia and Damien saw the list of students that had confirmed their entrance for trials ground, and Asher's name was on it. But knowing he hadn't contacted them, they just assumed he was resting. And that was why Amelia, Damien, and the twins were sitting in the outer sector as Lucas and Damien suggested they should cheer Asher when he entered. As Livia and Lucas didn't have any classes for today, it was a perfect day for them to spend time with Amelia and Damien and see off Asher as well. They gathered in the outer sector waiting for the ceremony of trials ground to start, which was around 6 a.m., 2 hours from now. And because of that thing, the outer sector was closed for today, and the staff were told to turn off all the mana-powered appliances and make sure the basic barrier function around their facility was active. The opening of trials ground was a big event, and when the entrance was opened, a big wave of mana would go over the entire flying island, and that wave was enough to damage mana-operated circuits if they were left open. To avoid any such issues, most of the buildings in the outer sector were closed today. But what's inside there? Livia asked as she sipped on the hot chocolate. Inside, nobody really knows, Amelia replied. I don't know much, but I have studied from journal entries of other students that have gone through the trials ground, and all of them had different experiences, Amelia added. Ads by Pub Future. Livia and Lucas were both surprised and fascinated by the talk of trials ground. Is it dangerous? Livia asked. Not really. Most of the students are told to not harm each other inside, and mana oaths are done to make sure no one does such a thing, Damien said. But the trial itself has never harmed anyone, Damien said. My father told me about it, and apparently it's a sort of illusion and it's different for everyone. But whatever you see inside, it's something that helps you nourish your talent and skill, Amelia said. So we can be stronger? Livia asked. Yeah, but you guys are too young to enter that place, Amelia said. This made Livia a bit sad as she was eager to get stronger to support Lucas and make sure both of them lived up to the name of the Greville family. Till now, Livia and Lucas had learned the history of the Greville family and their standing in the current world, and they thought that if they were not strong enough, it would bring shame on their family. Livia and Lucas both remembered the words of their mother that said how they would be treated unfairly because of their birth. Although Nathan, Arthur, and Sylvie assured them, but they didn't hide the fact that they would face problems in the future. Sylvie wanted to keep that information, but Nathan and Arthur decided to let the twins know about such things. Lucas especially was eager to become stronger, because he had seen how the strong controlled over weak, contemporary romance. It's because you guys still have so much to learn, like both of us, Amelia said, noticing Livia's expressions. Even I am not going inside because it's better to go in there after you have a clear image of your strengths and weaknesses, Amelia said. It's a place that you can only enter once, so everyone makes sure that they make the most out of it, Damien added. While the four of them carried on with the conversations, another group of students was gathered at a single place. Judging from their uniforms, it was obvious they didn't belong to the World Academy, but they were the students that were allowed to enter the trials ground as well. But all of them were quiet as they listened to the words of a single person, and that was none other than Leonard Tervian. I guess everyone here knows what to do, Leonard said. Some of them had a look of anxiety on their faces, but none of them dared say no to Leonard Tervian, the son of the chairman of World Association. And after this, I will let all of you join the World Association under the best teams. I am sure all of you are aware of the value of the position I am giving you, Leonard said as an authoritative environment was created. We will do as young Master Leonard wants, one of the students there stepped out. Jack, make all of them do a mana oath, Leonard said as turned his gaze from Jack to the students standing before him. Surely nobody here would object, right? Leonard asked with a smile on his face. But despite his friendly smile, the sensation of fear and unrest was still present. Here, drop your blood on this plate and circle the mana through your mana heart, Jack said as he presented them transparent glass slip that was inscribed with multiple runes. Leonard looked at each of them doing their mana oath and smiled internally, thinking about what was going to happen. I hope you like my little gift, Greville, Leonard thought in his head while taking out a ball of glass. In the ranker's dorm, Alyssa stood still against the mirror looking at her face that resembled her mother quite a bit. She could see the shadow of her mother in herself. This will be my chance to get stronger, Alyssa mumbled. She looked at her eyes as she wore the mask again, and it turned her back into the appearance she originally had. Coming out of that room, Alyssa entered another she had spent the last month in. It was quite a spacious room that could have many things, but Alyssa never bothered to add anything on her floor. All the rankers had the right to customize their own floors and add things that they wanted. Even other students were allowed to do the same, but the rankers could customize their whole floor to their liking. Alyssa sat on the chair and looked at the table where many books and multiple notes were present. These were the same books that were written by Elizabeth Garcia, and they contained the spells and theory she founded on ice magic. Touching the cover of the book, where the initial, E.G., was written, her dull eyes changed for a moment. Ah, kill them. All of them deserve to die. Garcia's blood. All the noises her head started shouting, as the flashbacks of the past started popping up. But instead of the boundless hate that her heart contained, right now the only feeling that Alyssa felt was the longing for her mother. A single tear trailed off the edge of her eyes, as the feeling of aching melancholy was too strong. But before that tear could drop, the entire trail of her tear froze and shattered, and her eyes became completely dull and cold as she took the books and stored them into the section beneath the table before locking it. Now the only thing left on the desk were the multiple notes Alyssa made, but all of them had messy writing, and they didn't look arranged at all. Observing those messy notes, one could see the chaotic thoughts that lingered in Alyssa's mind. But she endured all of them for the whole month while learning as much as she could before entering the trial's ground. Alyssa raised her finger as all those notes floated in the air, and she crumbled them till they became a small ball using gravity magic. Burn, she muttered as the ball caught fire and got burnt. Turning her head, there was only one thing left in this room, and it was a canvas that had a particular drawing on it. What started as a black rose was now a black flower that had a red glow around it. Something that Alyssa felt strangely comforting doing in keeping herself away from being crushed under the voices in her head. Alyssa turned to leave the room, as it was soon going to be the time for the students to gather outside the trial's ground. While everyone was going to gather outside, Asher opened his eyes as the sound of the alarm in his ID bracelet kept increasing gradually. And the first thing he saw was blue notifications in front of him. His head was still hurting, and the headache was still there, but Asher stood up and looked at the notifications. Unknown, Asher said as he looked at the quest. It was something he was going to do, as the clue for the next seal on his sword was hidden in the trial's ground, according to the way Asher deciphered the clues from the riddle he saw in that book. But there was also the fact that Asher wanted to enter the trial's ground anyway, as it was a place that he couldn't enter in his previous life. Looking at the system notifications, there were many things that needed to be checked as well, but there was not enough time to do it. There were only 13 minutes left for the reporting time, and he needed to rush to the trial's ground, as there was a procedure that was mandatory for all students to complete before entering. Failing to reach on time would result in him being removed as one of the candidates to enter the trial's ground. I can check it later, Asher said as he stood up and went into another room to change his clothes. He was still wearing the clothes that he used to infiltrate Halcyon. It didn't take long for him to do that, and soon enough, Asher was standing in the lift of the ranker's dorm. There was nobody in the lobby, and Asher made his way towards the nearest portal that would lead him to the trial's ground. Meanwhile, in the outer sector of the World Academy, many students were standing outside a huge temple-like building that had a large staircase. The surrounding area was filled with grasslands, with a cold wind blowing. There were small groups of professors standing in front of the grand staircase. Even the S-rank hunters, who were part of the security teams, were stationed around the boundaries of this place. Many students were on their guards because beyond that staircase, they could feel a very large flow of mana. Inside the vast white temple, mana was leaking wildly. This was the location of one of the SSS rank artifacts of World Academy, the very artifact that increased the mana density of the entire flying island. Attention, students! A loud voice halted the murmurs of the many students gathered here. The source of that voice was none other than Xander Demarcus, the vice principal of World Academy. As most of you know, this temple is the gateway to the famous trials ground, he said, capturing the attention of all the students present. All of you, including students from various other academies, are allowed to enter this place because you have earned the right, he continued. But remember, we will not tolerate any trouble here, Xander said with a commanding tone. Unlike the past, when the trials ground was a free area not under any single authority, the rights to enter were now controlled by the World Academy. All of you present will take a mana oath to follow a certain rule before we allow you to enter, Xander continued, raising his hand as many words made of mana appeared in the air. As you know, what you see or face inside is different for each student, but there are places where you will encounter other students, Xander explained. In such cases, there might be conflicts as there had been in the past. Nobody is allowed to inflict serious injury or attack with killing intent against others inside, Xander declared, the words floating in the air for all the students to see. Trials ground was a place where much blood was shed, both outside and inside. However, such actions are no longer permitted. Anyone who breaks this rule will be expelled, regardless of their status, and your actions will be judged accordingly, Xander concluded. His commanding aura was sufficient to instill this fact in every student's mind, although words alone weren't enough. That's why each student had to take a mana oath before entering this place. Normally, elite families would never allow their children to be bound by a mana oath, but this place was special. It was the High Council's decision that this rule would be followed by all, regardless of their status. A bit far from the crowd in the observer area which was near the portals, a group of 4 students was drawing attention due to their identities. I can't see him in the crowd, Damien said, scanning the crowd of third-year students. Should I message him again? There he is. Damien exclaimed as he spotted someone at the portal. Not just him, but many others turned to see who used the portal to arrive at the last minute. They saw a face now well known to everyone inside World Academy. Damien raised his hands as Asher turned around and saw the twins with Damien and Amelia. Good luck, and hurry up. Damien shouted, pointing at the group of professors signaling the students to form a line for their oaths. Asher turned, nodded at Damien, and moved towards the line of students. His arrival made many students exchange glances. After all, it was surprising to see someone a year below them enter the trials ground, especially the infamous heir of the Greville family. At least he arrived on time, Damien said, turning to look at Amelia. He would be the only one to arrive so late for such an important event, Amelia said with an annoyed look on her face. Don't be like him, okay. Amelia turned towards the twin as Livia nodded her head, while Damien chuckled a bit. She would never say that to his face, Damien thought, while looking at Amelia's reaction. Though she appeared annoyed, she was internally relieved that Asher wasn't late. Unlike herself, Amelia knew Asher was ready to enter the trials ground. I hope he finds one thing to focus at inside there, Amelia thought in her head. There was a reason nobody stopped Asher from entering the trials ground. They all wanted him to find something to focus on. Currently, Asher was enrolled in mage course classes, but even Arthur and Sylvie wished for Asher to concentrate on his swordsmanship, believing that learning mage theory was futile for him in the long term. Arthur had intended to convey this to Asher himself, but it was Nathan who advised Arthur and Sylvie to allow Asher to pursue his interests within World Academy. Nathan was the only one aware that Asher possessed the Rune of Aedan, which Nathan himself had, thus understanding the importance of mage theory and how it could aid Asher. However, this was unknown to others, and everyone, including Damien and Amelia, thought that Asher would find something beneficial in the trials ground. Nathan himself had discovered the essence of his sword art within the trial's ground, which he later developed. But not everyone was pleased with the scenario. Many were apprehensive about how much Asher Greville would improve after returning from the trial's ground. They were not looking forward to the prospect of such a person becoming even more powerful. I guess they are afraid of a monstrous talent getting stronger, Professor Neiman remarked, laughing. He is already at the level of the current third-year students, so it's obvious that many would keep an eye on him, Professor Elsa replied. The other professors remained silent, observing the students. But their thoughts were not much different. There was another group of professors that were standing with the mana oath devices near the staircase. TSK, but why are we allowing someone of Garcia's blood to enter such a place? A professor said with annoyance. Many professors looked up, but none commented on his statement, because deep down, they harbored similar sentiments. It wasn't just a few professors. Most of the third-year students were not exactly pleased to see Alyssa, who was in her wheelchair, standing among them. But due to the rules and Xander's overwhelming aura permeating the entire place, not a single student dared to cause a ruckus. However, this didn't stop the students from whispering among themselves, especially since there was an unexpected student standing there as well. Alan Astaria was also entering the trial's ground, surprising many students. Accompanying him were Jack Allister and the other students who were part of Leonard's faction. Alan was entering on the recommendation of the first ranker among the current fourth-year students, and the presence of both Alyssa and Alan was causing quite a stir of whispers. And those whispers did not please Alan. Don't let them rile you up, Jack advised, placing his hands on Alan's shoulders. Just focus on the trial's ground, Jack encouraged as Alan nodded, clenching his fist. These bastards, I will show them all who I am, Alan thought, controlling his anger. Jack turned his head to glance at a distant place and nodded. In the observer area, separate from where Emilia and Damien were standing, Leonard Tervian was present, watching the opening of the trial's ground as well. A small smile appeared on Leonard's face as he observed Asher walking towards the oath room. I guess you'll like my little surprise, Leonard muttered before turning to leave. Contemporary romance. 2 days ago. Enough is enough, don't target the son of the Greville family anymore. Okay father, but they will become a hindrance in the future, Leonard said while looking at the hologram of Osbert Tervian before him. Focus on the product. The matters of the Greville family are not your concern anymore, Osbert spoke in a cold tone. There are too many variables that have emerged, and I will not tolerate any mistake, Osbert said as the call disconnected. Leonard looked at the screen where Osbert was a few seconds ago, and he clenched his fist. Contemporary romance. Sigh. I guess playtime's over, Leonard muttered. The look on Leonard's face wasn't pleasant as the plans he had for the future of World Academy had failed. Swish tilde. It's so cold here, one of the students standing in the line spoke out. As this was the outer sector of World Academy, the temperature wasn't controlled with the runic barriers placed over the inner sector. Repeat the oath after you drop your blood here, Professor Erman said as Blake stepped forward. Blake materialized his aura and made a small cut on his finger, as he dropped his blood on glass-like ball that started glowing with many runes on it. Mana Oath was runic magic, that bounded the person to the words and would trigger when the promise of the oath was broken. It didn't stop the person from breaking the oath itself, but if someone broke it, it would trigger the runes and it would alert the party that did the Mana Oath. Use your mana and repeat those words, Arman said as Blake nodded. Blake was the first person in his line, and behind him were a few rankers of the third year and other high-ranking students. Without someone mentioning, the line formed were made in the order of the ranking of the students as no one wanted to create trouble with higher-ranking students. I will not harm others outside of my own trial, and would not attack another with intent of injuring them seriously, Blake repeated the words. The light on the marble started shining, as the runes started reacting to Blake's mana and they got absorbed into his body where his mana heart was present. Blake could feel a chain-like presence on his mana heart that wasn't exactly pleasing, but it didn't felt restricting nor did it weaken him. You can go up the staircase but don't enter the temple yet, Arman told Blake as he removed his hand from the mana oath device and went above the staircase. Slowly, students started going towards the temple and the anticipation of what lied ahead for them started to grow more. Trials ground was an opportunity they would never get in their life a second time, as a person could enter only one time. As the gateway would reject all that had entered the trials ground once. Can't we go there? Livia asked, looking Amelia. Amelia shook her head, making Livia a bit dejected as she was eager to learn what lied beyond the big staircase and inside that temple-like building. Ads by Pub Future. You are truly unique not being alerted by the amount of mana inside there, Damien said as Livia and Lucas got confused. It's not really scary though, Livia said. What? You don't feel alerted by that amount of mana? Damien got surprised. It's the same for me, Amelia said. I guess, the Greville are really different. Damien scratched his head as he remembered that beyond their innocent looks, all three of them belonged to the Greville family. The mana-related bloodline that was found in the Greville family made it easier for them to recognize the mana that was from an artifact despite how concentrated it was. But while all three of them were busy talking, Lucas was looking at the temple. Listening all about Trials Ground, Lucas was curious as to what lied inside it. His eagerness to grow stronger made his will to know what was inside even stronger. One day, I will also enter this place, Lucas thought in his head. But it's surprising that Alan Astaria is also going. Damien changed the topic as he leaned on the railing. Oh, that guy? Amelia looked over. In her head, she remembered Alan not as the heir of the Astaria family, but the guy that Asher beat up pretty bad in the representative tournament a year ago. But it was interesting to see someone like him was also entering the trials ground. He should have waited at least a year, Damien said, and Amelia also agreed with Damien's opinions. But it's his choice anyway. I guess him and Leonard Tervian are close, Amelia spoke out loud. Meanwhile, a few students moved away and allowed Asher to go forward, and Asher didn't stop them. The rumors about Asher already painted him to be a cruel person that was cold towards others. And right now, since Elena had become the student council president, the rumors had only gotten worse. Nobody wanted to get in trouble with Asher, so they thought of letting him go first. Standing in the oath room, there Professor Argus, who got shocked for a moment when he saw Asher, but nobody caught that except Asher. I guess you would know already, but drop your blood on this ball and repeat the words here while imprinting your mana, Professor Argus said as Asher made a cut on his finger. I will not harm others outside of my own trial, and would not attack another with intent of injuring them seriously, he said, as the mana oath device started glowing. Detected foreign mana. Runic restrictions are being applied to host. Asher could see the system notifications, but he kept his hand on the mana oath device. Runic restrictions has been placed on host. You can go up the staircase, Professor Argus said, urging Asher to go. Knowing what he had done for Asher would result in more than getting stripped from his position as a professor, he wanted to keep his interaction with Asher as low as possible. Just stay away from me, Argus thought in his head, relieved that Asher was gone. While Asher went up the staircase, other students did the same, and one by one the students at the ground were gathering inside the temple. The observer area still had a few students that wanted to witness the opening of the trials ground, and they were mostly the current second-year students. TSK, why did they allow someone like her? Did they forget what her family did? Some of the students on the way to the temple started whispering as they noticed Alyssa, who was floating towards the temple. Because of her use of gravity magic, it was hard not gather the attention of other students, and the reaction she got weren't pleasant. As Alyssa was going up the stairs, suddenly the girl that was on her side tripped on her foot and fell towards Alyssa. Thud. She barely clung on Alyssa's uniform while maintaining her balance. My bad. The girl turned towards Alyssa and spoke. Alyssa, who was wearing a half mask, looked at her. The girl's expression showed that she recognized Alyssa, as her expression turned ugly as soon as she saw who she fell on. She was wearing a uniform that didn't belong to the World Academy. Kayla, are you fine? A friend of her came for her. Did she do anything to you? Her friend hurriedly asked. Oh, no. I just tripped, my bad, Kayla said as she removed her hand from Alyssa's shoulders. Alyssa didn't want to bother with them as she was gathering more attention, and went on her way. Soon Alyssa along with the other students arrived at the temple, where other students wearing the white uniforms of the World Academy were standing proudly at large room with a massive gate in front of them. And there they saw a single man floating in the air, and it was none other than Farnas Calmot, who was touching the gate with his hand. It wasn't just Farnas who gathered the attention of the students. To the side they saw multiple barriers forming around a strange plant-like thing. Is that the SSS rank artifact? So this is what it looks like. Whoa, I wonder how it would look when it's used. Right now, the mana density of the whole island had returned to normal as the artifact had reached its limit and it needed time till it could be used again. The lightning around Farnas was rampant, but it was all concentrated on the gate. It was like Farnas was forcing his energy into the gateway. Crackle, thump, thump. The whole temple started shaking as runic formations started appearing all around the temple, and the sky above it. No matter how many times I see them, it's fascinating, Professor Neiman said as he witnessed the runic spells. These runic formations weren't normal, it was something nobody could comprehend and could understand, much like the trial's ground itself. Farnas removed his hand and floated down and looked behind him where more than 1,000 students were gathered. Welcome students, this is the gateway that will take you inside the trial's ground, Farnas spoke as the lightning around him disappeared. The massive gate was slowly opening, and various runes began engraving themselves upon it. It seems our dear chairman isn't too busy after all, Neiman said, laughing as he looked to his right. At the moment, Neiman was concealed by illusion runes, with nothing but empty space on his right-hand side. Stop joking, Neiman. You are too old for all this. A man with big muscles and an aged face appeared, wearing complex armor, while his eyes were fixed on what was present in front of him. Ho ho, to have the great Runemaster Dexter Wright standing beside me, who wouldn't be pleased on such an occasion? Neiman stroked his beard, a smile breaking across his face. Dexter Wright, an SSS rank hunter and the chairman of the Artisan Association, stood here in the World Academy, unbeknownst to all students and most professors, except a few. I am merely an observer here to witness this miracle and find my inspiration, Dexter stated. Neiman said nothing, as he too was observing the runes engraving on the massive gates and the multiple runic formations covering the entire space around the temple-like building. For a Runemaster, witnessing this moment would always fill them with curiosity as they looked at the place that was regarded as the finest creation that was made from runes. These formations were so vast that even students in the inner sector could see them in the sky. Such a strange thing, despite witnessing this moment so many times, I can't comprehend a single rune here, Dexter muttered. Lights no well. Neiman remained silent while Dexter masked his presence from all people with the help of runes, but a few strong SS rank hunters and Farnas were aware of his presence, contemporary romance. There was one more, apart from them, and it was Riffer, who sensed a strong presence but soon shifted his curiosity towards Farnas, the strongest here. Stay hidden, Asher told himself. Soon enough, Farnas turned to face the crowd of students as the lightning around him calmed and became invisible. This gateway will lead you into a special place, something that we call the realm of illusions, Farnas announced. The attention of every student was now on Farnas and the opening gates, revealing blue-colored energy similar to a dungeon gate. Farnas looked over the crowd of students and spoke again. The trials may appear threatening, and you may face something incredibly dangerous, but rest assured, the trials will never harm you in reality. That's why this place is named the Realm of Illusions, or what people commonly call it, the Trials Ground. As fascinating as it sounded, even Farnas nor anyone could predict what would happen inside, but one thing was certain. Nobody was ever harmed by the trials they faced inside this place. Hearing this boosted the confidence of many students, knowing they would face no threat inside that could harm them. Farnas and other permitted professors could see the relaxed expressions on many students' faces. But none of them said anything about it. It was pointless to explain what was inside, as it was different for everyone. Ads by Pub Future. They ignored these expressions, as what lied inside the trials ground was something that one could understand only after experiencing it once. What they would face or find inside was something that only they themselves could experience. So my advice for all of you is to face the trials with everything you've got. Learn, and discover what the trials intend to teach you. That place is vast, and all your trials will be different. No two people have ever had the same trial inside this place. The time you feel inside might vary from a week to a month, and it's all an illusion, but there are places where you will encounter other students as well. I hope everyone understands that competing with others inside is pointless unless it's part of your trial. That's why we made each of you take the oath. The words of fairness implied that if your trial required defeating other students, or if two or more students' trials merged, it was permissible to compete against each other. This wasn't a place controlled by anyone, nobody knew how the trials ground worked. I wish every single one of you luck, and hope when you come back, you will have gained something remarkable. It looks as magnificent as people described it, Eva said as she rubbed her shoulders while looking at the sky. It does, Elena replied, also gazing skyward. But soon, she turned to her side and observed Kevin, who was standing still, absorbed in the moment along with them. Don't feel burdened by it. You know this isn't the right time for you to enter the trials ground, Elena said as she touched Kevin's arm. Don't worry, I'm not concerned about that, Kevin smiled, looking back at Elena, Light's novel. Learning from the principal, I've realized I am still far from reaching that level, Kevin said, a confident look in his eyes. Elena smiled, seeing the old, confident Kevin resurface. The reason behind Kevin's subtle change was known to both her and Eva. But still, now that you're the successor candidate, you don't get much time to hang out with us, Eva pointed out. Kevin scratched his head, unable to deny Eva's words. It's fine, we understand this is a big opportunity for you. You should focus on it, Eva chuckled, finding Kevin's reactions amusing. It's your day off today, right? Elena asked. Yeah, and training is on hold until the trials ground is closed, Kevin replied. That's great, I wanted to show you some of the things I've done since becoming the student council president, Elena said cheerfully. All three of them turned around, having witnessed the opening of the trials ground. I will catch up soon enough, Kevin thought as he glanced at the runic formation.